News First senior reporter Patrick Quinn is live tonight from Midtown. And Patrick, what has this movement looked like here?
Blair, to be honest, it's really hard to gauge the success of a movement like this. For if it's working, you will not see people out and about shopping. That's the point. Do not show up to stores. Don't show up online either. Don't buy fast food. Don't buy gas. Don't support large corporations. If you have to shop locally, here in Atlanta, we're seeing the shift is focusing on Black-owned businesses.
My money, I'm not putting anything. I'm not putting out anything into this economy. Not today. Not today, sir.
At this farmers market at the VA in Atlanta, Joe Himes is taking part in the Economic Blackout.
Thank you so much for coming.
Joe told me he's closing his wallet to big corporations, only shopping local.
The black dollar does matter.
Eat Right Atlanta is a Black-owned produce delivery service. Food from Georgia farmers for Georgia communities.
It's important to support our local communities. We have a lot of farms that need help.
Owner Nicole Folks Johnson said her business is an ideal alternative to big box stores. Target, Amazon, Whole Foods now under protest as part of this nationwide economic blackout.
Sometimes you get tired of being tired. It's time to shift that tiredness back onto the corporations and back onto our government, who's not listening to the voice of the people.
Gerald Griggs, president of the NAACP of Georgia, supports the blackout. And here in the birthplace of the civil rights movement, he called on his community.
A message needs to be sent that the consumer power in the African-American community is very strong, and we are pushing back hard against these attempts to erase diversity, equity, and inclusion.
How successful is this blackout? It's hard to say. It started and is gaining momentum on social media for those in support and against it. On our own Facebook page, many comments of counter-protesters grabbing their shopping bags and specifically shopping at those stores under boycott. This woman from Decula wrote, "Well, I have already done enough shopping today for 3 people, and it's not even noon yet." And this commenter from Alpharetta posted, "I'm going to shop like crazy." For Joe, money talks. He hopes the White House and corporation C-suites are listening.
Respect us, respect our who we are and what we are capable of doing.
This economic blackout, it started at midnight. It will extend until midnight. And organizers say if the White House doesn't listen, the blackout will only be extended. Live from Midtown tonight, Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.
And Patrick.